through common veins, and the common eyes all see the same. Now, more than ever, all the family must be together.
Peace go with your brother. Though I ain't so proud anymore. Peace go with your brother.
What's good? It's your boy K-Blao. www.hoodx.com. Today is, I don't even know what day it is, but we doing a live show that we're gonna broadcast on the website later. I'm interviewing one of the old Black Panthers. I don't really know too much about the Black Panthers, but I guess we're gonna learn something today. We got a brother on here named David Lemieux. You there, brother?
It's David, brother.
David?
Yes.
It say David though on the. It say David.
Right. Well, you know why it says David? Because that's the way it's written. It's pronounced David, and the reason it's pronounced David because that's what my mother named me, David.
Oh, okay, brother. All right. Well,
there you go.
We got David Lemieux. Lemieux, what's that? In French? You French or something?
Lemieux. My father's from Haiti. They speak French there, and they speak Creole there.
They speak French in Haiti?
Because the white people that brought Africans to that island to enslave spoke French. That's why they speak French there. Just that they had a successful revolution there and ran them out.
So
anyway, the first independent black republic in the Western Hemisphere.
So you from Haiti?
No, I was born here. My father's from Haiti.
Oh, okay. And you was in the Black Panther?
I was in the Black Panther Party, that's correct. 1969 into the early 70s.
Can you tell me about it? What was that like?
Well, as an individual, I became what we used to call conscious all the way back when I was in 7th grade. That was in 1966.
I wasn't even born then.
No, you were not. Stokely Carmichael, who became Kwame Ture, was in Lowndes County, Alabama, trying to register people to vote. And they were, TV was in black and white back then. There was no color TV, not for us.
Yeah, I wouldn't have had a good time back then.
You were, and no remotes or anything. But Stokely came on, and he was addressing a crowd of people.
Who?
And he said, no, Stokely Carmichael.
Stokely Carmichael?
Stokely Carmichael, a famous activist of that time period.
He don't play ball?
He didn't play ball. He was an activist, but
I'm thinking
he's one of the first people that coined the term Black Power. And when I heard him say that when I was in 7th grade, which would have meant I was about 12 years old, I said, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Because regularly on television they would show demonstrations, civil rights demonstrations in the South, where they were turning water hoses on people, sticking wild dogs on them, police dogs, beating people down simply because they wanted to vote. They wanted civil rights. Those civil rights are allowing you to function in a particular society and benefit from the laws of that society. Civil rights are not quite the same as human rights. Civil rights have to do with laws and constitutional rights and privileges that supposedly people who live in this country, they're American citizens.
I ain't gonna lie, every time I seen the police beating up black folks back in the day, I thought it's because they were selling drugs or something. I didn't know what they was, I thought.
No, it was a little bit more to it than that. The people were demonstrating in the streets, meaning there were civil rights leaders. Perhaps you heard of Martin Luther King, who organized what was called nonviolent protest, where people would march, people would sit down in the street, stop the flow of traffic in order to make a point, in order to be heard.
So, what you knew Martin Luther King? You was cool with him?
See, that's just it. His methodology, his way of doing things was not what I found. At that time in my life when I was younger, I didn't think that was a good idea. I felt that if people were trying to harm you, that you should fight back. I felt that we have a right, more so than just our civil rights, we have what's called human rights, which means that if someone tries to harm you, you should be able to protect yourself. So that would have made me more of a follower of Malcolm X than a follower of Dr. King.
So wait, I thought Martin Luther King and Malcolm X was on the same team.
Well, this is it. They had different ways of doing things. Okay, Malcolm X was signed on to the idea of fighting back physically, and whereas Dr. King felt that you could change the behavior of your enemy if you appeal to their morals, to their value system, that somehow that they could be guilty and made to feel guilty about their behavior toward people who were not trying to harm them or fight them, just people trying to, certain civil rights, basic rights of citizens. And Martin Luther
saying,
King,
wait, so let me get this straight. You saying Martin Luther King used to let the police whoop their ass?
This is true. Yeah.
And so Malcolm X was like, fight back.
Correct.
And that's what you was more with that type of shit. You was with that type of shit. You was like, fuck it, we gonna fight back. That's what you saying.
Exactly.
Okay. So the Panthers was trying to fight back.
Well, that's one of the facets of the Black Panther Party was advocating self-defense. Originally, the Black Panther Party was called the Black Panther Party for self-defense, but we also believed in protracted, which means we also believed in the concept of armed struggle, meaning that if your enemy insisted on harming you through the use of violence, that it was your right as a human being to protect yourself and respond with violence if need be. As Malcolm said, by any means necessary. If it became necessary to take it to that level, then we were not opposed to taking it to that level. Whereas someone who is a pacifist, who's nonviolent, does not want you under any circumstances to resort to violence. It's just another way of thinking. I wasn't really in agreement with that.
So what did you do though in the Panther Party? Like what was you used to do?
Well, in the Black Panther Party had a lot of community programs that were of service to the community. The Black Panther Party had a breakfast for children program. Studies showed that if the children had a decent breakfast in the morning, that would help them, that would energize them throughout the day and help them to be better students. I mean, if you sit up at school hungry all day, your stomach growling at you, you really can't concentrate on your studies.
They had a link card? They had a link card back then?
No, they didn't have no link card. I believe they had food stamps back then, but you have to understand some people living in poverty level were still not having needs met. And oftentimes, just getting children off to school in the morning, if you're poor, you don't have any food in the house, but the children got to go to school, they just got to get up and go, whether they got fed or not. So the Black Panther Party provided a service. We have breakfast for children programs, different locations in the city, where children, school-age children, could just come in and, no questions asked, no forms to fill out, no nothing. All they have to do is come in and sit down and eat. We give them eggs and grits and toast and
for free,
pancakes or whatever for free. Absolutely for free.
Dang, they don't do that no more.
They do not.
That's bogus.
As a matter of fact, the lunch programs that they do have in the public schools now, I think that supposedly they have some sort of system where if your family income is under a certain amount, you can get what's called a meal ticket. You present that in the cafeteria, and you will get free meals. All that came about because of the Black Panther Party. Because the city said, well, you know what, we better, if we're going to get the minds of these folks and not have them want to align themselves with terrible Black Panthers, we better start doing something to respond to people's needs in the community. Not that they responded in exactly the same way. They always want to do something to counterbalance what we do. So There's a Breakfast with Children program. There was a free health clinic. I mean, I don't know if you realize, you know, health care and being attended to by doctors, even back then, it's always been an expensive proposition. Black Panther Party had free health clinic that was staffed by real doctors, you know, not jacklegs, but real doctors, and people could come in and get medical attention and examinations and tests, you know, for ailments and things where.
So y'all had your own like health clinics too.
Like that party. Another thing, let me throw in, we also had a mobile sickle cell. Sickle cell anemia is a condition that affects a lot of people of African descent.
Yeah, my auntie got that. My auntie got that shit. Yeah, she's skinny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a debilitating disease. It's something that really taxes your body. But back then, people weren't even being tested for it, so a lot of people would be sick from it and not even know what was wrong with them. I mean, you can't fix the problem unless you know what the problem is, you know. So the Black Panther Party offered free testing for sickle cell to determine, you know, if people had this condition, and then that way they could find out what they needed to do to make life more livable. You know, having that condition, you know, certain things that you know.
Right. So y'all was giving out free food. Y'all had the hospital, and then y'all was riding through the hood, hooking people up who were sick with sickle cell. But why? Hey man, every time I heard of Black Panthers, they be like, man, some niggas with them guns who be shooting at the police. Like,
see that part of the philosophy of the Black Panther Party is that
white people hate y'all niggas, man. Like, white people hate y'all niggas. Like, what if y'all riding around?
They hated the Panther Party for several reasons. J. Edgar Hoover called the Black Panther Party the most dangerous threat to the security of the United States of any organization that ever existed. There were several reasons for that. One reason is the arrogance, the nerve of black men and women to say that you can't just do whatever you want to us, that we will fight you back. If you try to harm us, we'll fight you back. Now, we didn't go and attack anybody, you know, but our philosophy was that if you attacked us, we would fight back. You know, we would not just let the police or anyone else just come and do whatever they want to us. Now, unfortunately, everybody didn't really prepare themselves to manifest that philosophy, and there were conflicts between the police and we call them pigs, the police and the Black Panther Party that did not always end up well for Panthers, but that has to do with maybe a lack of preparedness. We had the right idea. We didn't always have the right preparation, you know. But philosophically, we were not trying to be sheep. You know, we were not trying to just know what to do and have them just run roughshod over us anytime they got ready to. Now, when the party started in 1966 in Oakland, California, Huey P. Newton, who was one of the founders of the Black Panther Party, who was also astute with knowing the laws and the civil laws in California. The Oakland Police Department was known to be very abusive, and they were constantly brutalizing people in the community. What Huey did was organize black men that actually got in cars, rode around with guns, and would stand by when the police conducted their business. See, this is the thing. If somebody went and robbed the place,
y'all niggas was crazy as hell.
Well, that's what they said. If somebody went and robbed, put it this way. There are circumstances where maybe the police had to arrest someone for something they did. That's fine. You people recognize the fact that if someone breaks a certain law or whatever, someone goes and robs someone or, does something wrong, that they may have to deal with, with the system civilly. But that doesn't give the police the right to beat on people. That doesn't give them the right to abuse people or use their power in a way that harms people. So what the Black Panthers would do they would confront them on the street. It's like, okay, if you gotta arrest this brother or sister, that's fine. Handle your business. But you're not gonna be beating on them. You're not gonna be putting handcuffs on someone and then slapping them around. And they would they refused the fact they were a group of armed men as well. I'm talking about the Black Panthers. They'd say, well, you got guns, so do we. So if you think that you're going to be able to treat us any way that you want to because you're armed and we're not, well, we're changing that dynamic. We're also capable of shooting back. So that being the case, they had to check their behavior. And that's one of the reasons the whole idea of like doing that was terrifying to the system, to the status quo. And it made it already J. Edgar Hoover. Another thing about the Black Panther Party that people may have got a misconception about, the Black Panther Party was not a racist organization. It wasn't about that we hated white people so much, but we loved our community. Our responsibility and our duty was to see to the needs of people in our community, which quite frankly involves doing things that need to be done in our community and in disregard for the other folks. That what is happening with them is not our primary responsibility. Our responsibility is to handle our business in our own community.
Ain't nobody got no time for
it. What Elijah Muhammad used to call doing for self.
Right, but look, the niggas I know, they ain't got time for that. They be trying to sell dope. They be trying to get money. They be trying to fuck hoes. Niggas don't even be thinking about that shit no more. Like, it's crazy that, like, you understand, a nigga like me, the whole shit you talking about sound like a movie. Like, that don't even sound like some real shit that could even happen today. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it actually, and you have to remember that while all this is going on, everything possible everything that could be done has been done to change the minds of your generation to make you feel like that. That's the idea. Because as long as we are wasting, what essentially amounts to wasting our time, we really don't go forward. Let's address some of the things you said. Let's talk about selling drugs and making money. It's like it's a lose-lose thing because you might know one or two old drug dealers, but you probably don't know too many old drug dealers. Because the problem is, in order for someone to sell drugs, if you're a thief, you don't want people to know you're a thief. They're not going to want to let you in, in their house. If you're doing things like that, you got to keep that secret. But when you're selling drugs, just like any other business, you got to advertise. And who do drug dealers deal with? Who's their customers? Drug users. What are drug users? Well, we ain't talking about weed. We're talking about addictive drugs like heroin and cocaine,
right.
Crack, heroin, and stuff like that.
Right.
So, do you trust the dope fiend in your house? Of course you don't. Do you trust the crackhead in your house? Of course you don't. But see, those are your customers. That's in the case. Someone who you cannot trust is the person that you have to do business with. So the first time something come up where it's them and you, they're gonna, that's why people that be out here slaying eventually, get caught. Because sooner or later, one of these dope fiends is gonna get caught up in a situation where they're gonna have to tell. And that's just true. Then add this part to it, and this other part to it. Your competition. Other people that's out there trying to sell the same product. Now, some people say, well, there's enough dope fiends to go around to buy whatever dope we get. And we both know that that's not really true. Once people start making a little money, they want to make more money. That puts them in competition with other people.
Right.
Okay? Well, so now you have the opposition. You got the different cliques. So, you have opposition because it's a different clique. And then let's add another factor to it. Everybody knows that even among families, money can ruin relationships in families. Money can ruin relationships between parents and their children, between brothers and their sisters. I mean, you could just go on and on with what money can do. Now you got a situation with these folks that are not even into one another. So your own clique becomes jealous. You think if he let all the big time, I mean, and this is just, do I know this is true? No, I don't know this 100%. But if you remember, they let one of the life board leaders out of jail. He's been in jail a long time. I want to say it was Billy Lloyd. I could be wrong which one it was. Young brothers tried to kill him a day or so after he got out, or when he was on his way out. Because all these people, Jeff Ford and Hoover and all these people, it's okay when they're on the poster and they're on the T-shirt. But when them older brothers get out and try to tell these young boys what to do who've been out here, they're the ones actually putting in the work, making the reverse, and they tell them, okay, you got to pay me a tax. Now they got to worry about getting took out by their own people. In other words, that particular cycle that revolves around the sale of drugs is like a lose-lose thing. If you don't get caught, you have to make more dope fiends. If you make more dope fiends, that puts you and your family and everybody else in danger. If you do get caught, you're going to prison. So, so even if you win, you lose, and that's just the way it works. It's designed that way, and it's worked very well.
When you talking about the way that it's designed and how it was designed back in the day, you said it was, what was the guy's name? You said it so fast. You said it was a dude that said that the Black Panthers was the #1. What'd you say?
Right. It was J. Edgar Hoover, who was the head of the FBI.
Okay.
Okay. Now, and they had a program.
They had some money with some quarters or something. What was the name of the program he made? It was like money or change or quarters or something. What was it called?
Oh, I think you're talking about the Cointelpro program, the counterintelligence program that they came up with, where the government was in violation of their own laws, was spying on American citizens. In violation of their own laws, doing the old leaking, tapping people's phones. The FBI, if you know from your little Martin Luther King Day celebrations that they'll have even in grammar school, even if people your age, you probably remember, the FBI was writing bogus letters to Martin Luther King's wife, trying to break up his marriage, just doing anything. They had no holds barred as to try to destroy any possibility of our people uniting around any particular subject. Now, the Black Panther Party comes along, not only are we talking about having unity in the community, but we're talking about protecting ourselves by any means necessary. Now, that was a bit much for them. So they did everything they could to destroy the Black Panther Party.
This is the question. I looked it up while we were sitting there talking on Google. It's called Cointelpro.
That's correct.
Right. I think I was just thinking about like coins, but
right.
Right, but I'm tweaking though. But look, just the question I was gonna ask you. What you go back to you say like the system that's designed today versus the system that they had back then when they was doing the Cointelpro. What is the difference you see now as far as because you still got targets. But what type of target do you see them targeting now? What's the difference between you follow what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying, and I can address that. This is the thing. Okay. The people that run this mess out here, okay, that keeps us in this state of confusion that we're in, have taken full use of electronic media. Just like you're doing now, you're able to put information out. You have your shows. You can talk to people. You can pretty much speak your mind.
I'm trying to get money, nigga. That's what I'm trying to get money.
And that's good. That's good. There's a certain this is a very unusual country in the fact that we, meaning us white people, we benefit collaterally. Collaterally, I'm gonna explain what that means. We benefit collaterally from rights that U.S. citizens are supposed to have. Meaning, if they're mandated to give everyone in the room a peanut butter sandwich and your black ass is in the room, they got to get you the sandwich too. But they didn't make those sandwiches for you. But that's like the Constitution was not made with us in mind. We were just human beings. But because we're in the room, we benefit collaterally from the right. But we suffer directly some things that are targeted. You know, we are targeted directly. We pass it collaterally. In other words, if you understand what I mean by that, if there's an attack on our rights and our self-esteem and all that, that's intentional. You know, they say when we benefit just because of proximity to whatever's going on. They handing out turkeys on the corner, and you stand on the corner, you go get one of the turkeys. But now when it comes to Cointelpro program, once it became clear how powerful this new electronic media think about it. Everybody out here walking around with earbuds in their ear, listening. That stuff is 2 or 3 inches from your brain. So you have little 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old black children being fed messages that completely destabilize their personal self-esteem. Not just personal self-esteem, not just their esteem as an individual. If you grow up thinking, being fed constantly, niggas ain't shit, and you decide that that's who you are, you believe that, and you're going to behave accordingly. If you got little 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old black girls that are hearing bitch in their ear constantly, they really think that that's a substitution for their name. If you have black boys here, nigga, they think that's a substitution for their name, and they accept it. So if somebody is, so we've got to the point where we actually pay money to be insulted. We pay money to people to denigrate us. I mean, if you want to personalize it, I mean, most people, not everybody out there, but most people like their mama. Most people, care about their mother, for the most part. Not everybody does, but for the most part, even in the worst of individuals, they got some kind of attachment to their mother, okay?
Right.
Or they may have, But we pay money to have people call our mother bitches, to call our mother hoes. And the reason I say that is because if our mothers are women, which they are, and we have been taught through this electronic stimulation into our brains that bitches and hoes is just an acceptable terminology for women, then we are saying that about our own mamas.
Hold on, nigga. Hold on. That's what I'm saying. So you saying the reason why I'm calling niggas is because the radio telling me to call niggas?
It's beyond that. It's not just the radio. You have to remember, my generation used that terminology too. But we had rules of engagement. We had a certain way that we would comport ourselves among our family, among ourselves. That was not a word that other people had liberty to use. White people, it was going to be a fight if white people said it. If white people said it, it would be a fight.
I hear white people saying nigga all the time.
But now they say it all the time, and it ain't no big deal. They're like, they've been given open license to denigrate us. There's some radio show that was passing out what they call black holes as a joke about how sometimes black men will refer to women like that, and if you make a joke out of something, if you make like it means nothing, and words are very powerful, regardless of what people say. That old slogan, 6 stones will break your bones, but words never hurt you. That's a lie. Words can do a lot of damage. Words are very powerful. Some people know keywords. Some people know how to manipulate words, use words in a way that can really influence people. So if you're constantly hearing something, if you're constantly seeing it portrayed in the visual media, you think it's so. I'm going to give you an example. Everybody makes a big deal about, violence on TV, this and that and the other. Violence is influencing people to do this, that, and the other. It's not quite that simple. When I was growing up, it was 3 kind of shows on TV. Okay. And all 3 of them were violent. I'm talking about the entertainment shows. Other than comedy. There was Cowboys and Indians, Cops and Robbers, and Army movies, war movies. Okay, this is the dynamic. cops and robbers, there would be some bad person that murdering folks, robbing or doing something wrong, you know, something like that. Wasn't no depiction of selling drugs too much back then.
Right.
And they would always, at some time during the show, the bad guy would do something really terrible to someone, and then you would be rooting for the police to go catch him because they did some terrible thing. Okay, that's number one. Number two, then you had the cowboys and Indians. Now, we're not going to talk about the fact that we realized the white men invaded this country, massacred the Indians, stole their land. We weren't thinking about that when we were children. That was not, you know. But what we saw was the settlers, you know, and their little covered wagons going across the land. They ain't bothering nobody. At least that's the way they're depicted. And here come the bad Indians. They come and they kill up a bunch of folks, and they kill up a bunch of women and children, and you know. And then the cavalry and the cowboys come and they save them. So again, it's good against evil. Cowboys in this case, or the cavalry being the good guys, and the Indians being the bad guys. Okay, I mean, you know, and stop simplifying it. How little kids look at it. Good guys, bad guys. Good guys, bad guys. And then the last but not least, you had the war movies, because remember, back then all the movies was about World War II, which I find people in your generation don't really think much about that particular time in history. But the United States, the whole world was at war, and they were at war against Germany and Japan specifically. And there would be movies showing the Germans and Nazis doing some terrible things to people, and you would see the Japanese doing some terrible things to people.
And then we go get them.
Then the army would come and defeat them.
We go get them.
So once again, it's good against evil. I'm just talking about, I mean, I'm breaking it down and making it very simplistic. That it was good against evil.
Right.
There's another factor. Nobody on the screen looked like us. You understand what I'm saying? Right. Nobody on the screen. We were not depicted at all. So as a child, if you watched a war movie, or you watched Cowboys and Indians, or you watched Cops and Robbers, you wanted to be the U.S. Army. You wanted to be the good soldier fighting the bad people.
They was brainwashing motherfuckers. They was brainwashing.
You wanted to be the police going after the bad robbers and murderers, or you wanted to be the cavalry or the cowboys going after the bad Indians. The point is, again, nobody looked like this. So as a kid, if you wanted to, you know, emulate or have your little pretend games about that sort of thing, you would usually, most kids would pick one to be the good guy. Now, go ahead to where it is now, our children see movies where it's the bad guy against the worst guy, and everybody on the screen looks like them. Which drug cartel is the most evil and most powerful to kill the other drug cartel? So when our children emulate the violence they see people who look like them killing people that look like them, and that has become a form of entertainment. And so what's entertaining is something desensitized to, because it does, you know, it's both fantasy and reality at the same time. I can tell you from experience that when more videos started being produced depicting certain types of behavior in the community, it ain't like, put it this way, the behavior changed as the videos came out. It wasn't like the videos were really depicting the behavior. It was not art imitating life, if you want to call it art. It became life imitating what I call propaganda. It's like, okay, this is what you're supposed to do, black boy. You're supposed to rip and run the street, run in front of police, selling drugs to other black people. Because if you think about it, I mean, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but at the end of a whole lot of videos that were made, especially during the middle of the 80s, toward the end of the video, you would always see a bunch of people with GDA and drug enforcement jackets on, you know, trying to bum rush the people that were doing the rapping in the song. I mean, you see the NWA videos, you see the videos, right? But even though it don't show them with drugs, it's implying that what they're doing, and we ain't talking about weed, we're not talking about herb, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. We're not talking about that. We're talking about basically crack cocaine and cocaine. you know. And they're trying to depict people that are doing that. They're giving the impression that these folks are some kind of rebels. They ain't rebels. You ain't rebelling against the government when you're doing stuff that can turn part of the community into zombies, and the other part gets to go to jail. So that's a win-win for the enemy. But what they did was they discovered that this electronic media was so powerful that they could sit up and make this nonsense, and there's a lot of us that would buy onto it, and we did the work for them. You know, I mean, it did a very good job. And now you have people imitating fake imitations of what's really going on. You see? So look at all the rappers. Look at all the times you've seen. I pay attention to what young people are watching and what they listen to. And I remember watching some of these, I don't know, MTV Cribs or something. They're showing some of these people like, I'm trying to think of his name, Mac 10, whatever he's called. Some of these different rap stars, they have shrines in their house, and Scarface, to a white Italian actor, you know, Al Pacino, playing a Cuban drug lord. I mean, think about it. Al Pacino's not Cuban. He's Italian. The point that I'm making is it's admittedly fake. It's a movie. But there's a shrine in their house. You got brothers walking around with jackets with this cat on it. And it's absurd. I mean, people deal with it like this is real, so they want to emulate that. Now, I guarantee you, Al Pacino ain't out there trying to be his on-screen persona. I'm sure he goes and sits down and has a nice chill dinner somewhere in some nice place. He's not hanging out at the club trying to be a drive-by target to portray the drug dealer in some movie. You see, we have bought so much into these false, nonsensical paradigms that other people have put us in, that we start just emulating it. So now you have a popular culture, if you want to call it culture, this aberrated culture, where young black boys really think, truly believe that what we see out here in the street and the behavior that we see in our community is actually what they're supposed to be doing. It's not like they're violating anything. This is what they're supposed to do. It's like, this is what we do. This is how we roll. We was not rolling like that. I'm telling you, this has been since the mid-'80s that it's degenerated like it has. Because remember, electronic media has become much more powerful than it ever was. Everybody, you can sit up on your phone and watch this stuff. You can listen to it on your phone. You can watch it on your iPad. You can, electronic stimulation is there for all to see, and it's doing a fantastic job for the enemy. It is. It's great. They can sit up in the comfort of their home and let Black Elimination Television, also known as BET, do their work for them.
You said Black Elimination Television.
Yeah, that's what I call BET. I will be the first to admit that every blue moon they will have something. I hate using cliches like positive and negative, but every blue moon BET will have something positive. But BET basically is Pootie Every Time, Black Elimination Television. It's foolishness. Constant foolishness. Hee ha ha, and kill them niggas, lay them in bitches, blah blah blah. That stuff is destroyed. Well, it's not destroyed us. It's definitely damaging us. I think we're too strong to be destroyed, but we're definitely damaged. Talk about words being powerful. Back in the 80s, you might not remember this. They actually had lines of clothing that were marketed mainly to black people, one of which was called Damaged, and the other one was called Used. They also had lines of clothing with numbers on them, like you was coming out the penitentiary.
Yeah, like state property. That was state property. I used to have some of them jeans. That's the state property. I used to rock those back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. But it's intentional. What it does, it creates a mindset to accept a certain condition. Okay, well, I had a number, if you was walking around with numbers on you when you weren't locked up, it was no big deal once you did get some numbers. You know, it's the wholesale incarceration of our people. It's accepting, or no, not accepting is not a good word. It's embracing the concept that going to the penitentiary is the normal thing for people to do. That it's completely normal to go to the penitentiary. Completely normal to be deprived of your freedom. Completely normal to be deprived of the comfort of someone of the opposite gender, or of the, you know, I mean.
Yeah, like my boy told me, he said if you go Google, we wrote something in HoodX called the acceptance of the chaos lit. It's pretty much what you're saying. Like if you Google it, it come right up. It's basically what you're saying. It's like how people just kind of accept, you know, the fact that your baby daddy get locked up, or you know, your brother get locked up, you know, somebody, you know, it's just part of the culture. You know, the whole, you know, institutionalized, you know, living is just part of the culture.
Exactly, and it was, trust me, my brother, trust me. In 1965, that was not the case. In 1975, that was not the case. By 1985, it was getting to be that way. You know, it's one thing from, you know, everybody might know somebody that's ended up getting locked up or doing some time, because we are an oppressed people. So we are at the bottom. We are target number one when it comes to incarceration. But at the same time, it was not an accepted norm. It was something to be feared. It's something to be avoided. Now it's embraced. It's like, you know, well, I did a bit, so what? You know, I can't never get a job in life, so what? I don't know nobody that works, so what? You know, boy, it wasn't like that before. And at the same time, that's not about it. It has nothing to do with us trying to conform or comport ourselves in certain ways for the approval of white people. It had to do with how we comported ourselves in our own community for the approval of our own people.
Right.
We didn't expect that the brother across the street was going to be the one that was going to break into your house and steal your flat screen.
Right.
Because we had a standard of behavior as to how we relate to one another. That standard of behavior has been attacked, as my friend in North Carolina, Brother K-Blao, says, we've been attacked on a cellular level. This stuff is hitting us 24/7, 365 days a year in every form it could possibly take. Electronic stimulation, they had food, they had hair, they had water, and misinformation. You know, so you can just go on and on and on. And we have to be aware that it's happening. And the only way that you can avoid succumbing to it is knowing that it's happening. You know, ignorance is not always bliss. Okay.
Well, on that note, I think I'm give it. You got any way anybody can contact? You know, you got an email. If anybody want to get at you, you know, how can people get at you?
Well, my email is MYTLION, Mighty Lion, MYTLION at AOL.com.
You got. Go ahead.
And if you Google my name, David Lemieux, which is spelled like David, it's brought out D-A-V-I-D. The last name is L-E-M-I-E-U-X. It's the next name, Lemieux. And next to it, put Black Panther. There will be some, excuse me, some videos of some speaking I've done and some interviews I've done in different venues. You know, I don't have a web page or anything like that, but some people may find it interesting, some of the things, and then maybe not so much. But nice thing about electronic devices is they all have off buttons.
Hey, and we gonna go out with Gil Sky Heron. Peace go with you. Now you requested this. Now why did you request that we go out with this song?
You know, this particular tune is a very thoughtful tune, because what he makes the point is we don't have time to be arguing with one another. Okay, we have common issues that should supersede all our individual isms, and we continue to argue with one another, our children are going to suffer from it. Our children. I'm concerned about what happens in our community. Okay? It hadn't had anything to do with being hostile toward anyone else. But see, the thing with the Black Panther Party, if you were sincere, you love the people. My love is for the people. My love is for my people in my community. That's what I'm concerned with. So what Gil is saying to his brother, peace go with you, brother, don't make no sense for us to be arguing now. So I like that.
All right. Well, we're going to take a listen to it right now. It's www.hoodx.com. David Lemieux on your YouTube channels. I want you to share this. I want you to throw it on your Facebook. I want you to spread it around. As always, it's your boy K-Blao, HoodX.
Every brother, everywhere, feels the time is in the air. Common blood flows through common veins, and the common eyes all see the same. Now, more than ever, all the family must be together.
Peace go with your brother. Though I ain't so proud anymore. Peace go with your brother. Recognition don't come cheap anymore. You my lawyer, you my doctor, yeah, but somehow you forgot about me. And now when I see you, all I can say is peace. Peace go with your brother. To matter much now, just what I say. Peace go with your brother. You the kind of man who think he got to have his own way. You my father, you my uncle and my cousin and my son. But sometimes I wish you were none. But I managed to smile and I say, peace go with your brother. Peace go with your brother. Don't make no sense sense for us to be arguing now. Time is right up on us now, brothers. Don't make no sense for us to be arguing now. All of your children and all of my children are gonna have to pay for our mistakes someday. Yes, and until then, may peace guide your way. Peace go with your brother, wherever you go. Peace go with your brother.